Hey guys, welcome back to the Basketball Hut. So the NBA season is coming to a close. Only 3 or 4 more games left of the season, and with that, we're finally gonna have the 2021 playoffs, and everyone's gonna be asking that same question: Who is going to win the NBA title? Who is gonna bring home that Larry O'Brien trophy? So in this video, I'm just gonna go over all of my contenders for the NBA championship. Now, keep in mind that this list is not in order. It's just a list of teams, really. If I say a team before another, that doesn't mean I think that team is better. I'm just reading off my list. And also, I'm going to be going over the reason why I think they'll win the title. And each reason is going to be different for each team. And also, I'm going to give something that could be their downfall during the playoffs. So, an issue like maybe their defense or maybe a certain player, stuff like that. So, without further ado, let's get into my list of the championship contenders. Let's start off with an obvious one, and that's going to be the Brooklyn Nets. And I mean, this should be a no-brainer. I mean, they got three great offensive players with James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. They also got some really solid role players like Joe Harris is amazing, Blake Griffin is pretty good, Nicholas Claxton's really good on defense. They got Bruce Brown, who's a good perimeter defender. So they got a lot of good players on that team. And, they've got a great coaching staff as well. Steve Nash has done a good job coaching the team. The only issue that I can see with this team is obviously their defense. Typically with a contender, you want their defense to be like top 10, I would say. And for Brooklyn, their defense is one of the worst. Although I don't think that really matters for them just because of the fact that they have James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant on the same team. It kind of makes up for the lack of defense, but I mean, if one of those guys ends up getting injured, like, maybe Kyrie or Harden, they end up getting injured, who knows what could happen. That's where you probably want your defense to shine, but I mean, if they stay healthy, then I think the Nets are easily making the finals in the East, and also they're definitely going to win the title if all three are playing really well. So that's my first contender for the NBA title, is the Brooklyn Nets. All right, moving on to the next team on our list, we have Mickey James, Disney, and the rest of the Lakers squad all ready to contend for the NBA title. So the Lakers have had a bit of an up and down season, I'd say. I mean, it started off really hot, as any contender would, as a top 3 seed, and then Anthony Davis was out and the Lakers started to fall, but then LeBron got injured and now the Lakers started to fall even more. And they're probably going to be entering the play-in tournament, which could have a serious effect on their championship success this season. I mean, you got to play in the play-in tournament, and then as like the 7th or 8th seed, then you got to go through all these teams, and it's a very grueling process, I'm not going to lie, but LeBron James, Anthony Davis, in the playoffs, they're unstoppable. I mean, they always have these crazy games. I mean, if you look at last season, what they did, they were unstoppable for sure. The only thing I'd say for this team that's an issue is injuries. Definitely you want to see if LeBron's healthy for the playoffs, whether his ankle's going to be fine or not. And then also for Anthony Davis, make sure he's not having those back spasms or whatever that he was having. So, if those two can stay healthy and the rest of the Lakers squad, like Schroeder and Harrell, Gasol and Kuzma and Caruso, if all those guys can be, somewhat healthy, then Lakers got a great chance to not only make the finals, but also beat the Brooklyn Nets and win the title. So, Lakers definitely contenders if, no serious injuries happen to that team. Moving on down the list, we have the other team in LA. We have the Los Angeles Clippers. And this is a very interesting team. I don't see a lot of people calling them championship contenders, and it's quite obvious why. I mean, last season they were terrible in the bubble. They didn't really perform to expectations. Also, the Lakers won the title, so obviously more people are going to give attention to them. And on top of that, Brooklyn has their big three of James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. So everyone's kind of underrating the Clippers a little bit. I think they're a much better team than they were last season. They got some great shooters. They got a nice playmaker in Rondo. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are having great seasons. So I definitely think that this team is more than capable of winning the title. The only question mark I have on this team is whether Paul George can be reliable, because we've seen before that he has choked in the playoffs. I mean, we saw it in full effect last season. We saw the birth of pandemic peace. So as long as Paul George is somewhat reliable, then I think the Clippers can definitely make it past the second round, make it to the conference finals, and maybe even beat the Brooklyn Nets. I think they have a good shot at beating that and, hoisting that Larry O'Brien trophy. So definitely Clippers are a team to look out for in the playoffs for sure. All right, let's move away from Los Angeles. Let's go on to another team down the list. Let's go to the Phoenix Suns, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this is a team that I can definitely see winning the title. And for, a couple of reasons. I mean, they got a great backcourt with Chris Paul, Devin Booker. Chris Paul this season is an MVP candidate, and Devin Booker is a 25, 30 point per game scorer. So that's an elite backcourt offensively. And then not to mention that the Suns have had some pretty good defense. I mean, DeAndre Ayton has improved as a rim protector, and Mikal Bridges has been beasting on that end as well. And this team also got some shooters, guys. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone besides Ayton can shoot a three ball. Like, Chris Paul has a reliable three ball, Book has a reliable three ball, and then not only that, but Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, and then off the bench you have guys like Cam Payne, Cameron Johnson, Dario Saric. These guys can all light it up from deep as well. So the only issue I have with this team is the fact that they have a lack of size. Aiden's their only guy who's over 7 feet tall. They don't have another rim protecting athletic big man like DeAndre Ayton. So that could definitely be detrimental to their championship success. I mean, you want to have guys out there who can block shots, and the Suns just don't have that right now. I mean, they got Sarge and Kaminsky as the backup bigs, which, offensively is fine, but defensively it's not going to do a whole lot. So, there's a big question mark around that. And also, obviously, this team doesn't have that much experience besides, Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, who went to the finals last season. So, overall, I think that this team can at least make the conference finals, and I definitely think they can hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy. I mean, if they can make up for that lack of size, then I don't see any team stopping the Phoenix Suns for sure in the postseason. Let's take a step away from the Western Conference. Let's move on to the Eastern Conference, where we're going to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. And this team is pretty good. I mean, they got great shooting. Guys like Seth Curry and Danny Green have been lining it up. Tobias Harris also has been pretty good as a shooter. Embiid has been having one of his best seasons of his career so far. Just, MVP candidate. And if he didn't get injured, I'd say he'd probably be the front runner for it. And not to mention that Philly also managed to get a great head coach in Doc Rivers, and, who's a major upgrade over Brett Brown. I mean, Brett Brown ain't exactly the championship caliber coach that Philly needs. So, those reasons are why I think Philly can win the title. But the only issue that I have with this team is, it's not with this team, it's with a player, and it's Ben Simmons. I don't trust Ben in the playoffs at all. I mean, there were times in the playoffs where he just flat out choked. I mean, he's not a reliable scoring option, and really he's probably just going to be there for the defense. But even then, I still think that in order for the Sixers to be successful, Simmons has to be aggressive. He has to find a way to score the ball, because they're going to need that, especially against a team like Brooklyn, who has 3 guys who could put up 25, 30 a game. You're going to need that. So, I mean, I don't think Simmons is going to be showing up in the playoffs anytime soon. So that's why I don't think they'll win the title. But if he can find a way to be aggressive and, put up at least 20 or something, then, Sixers have a great shot at winning the title. So definitely championship contenders for sure. Moving on to our last team on the list, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. And kind of like the 76ers, I think they're a much improved team. I mean, they got Drew Holiday and replaced Eric Bledsoe for him, and I love that a lot. Eric Bledsoe was never that type of third option for the Bucks, and Drew Holiday can very well be that. So that's a big upgrade for them right there. And also, not to mention that their offense has been still amazing. Their defense has been incredible. Giannis is playing great. And the only issue I really have is obviously Chris Middleton isn't the most reliable player in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen time and time again that he has not been that good second option that Giannis needs. And also, speaking of Giannis, we have to see how he will adjust to elite defenses in the playoffs. We've seen him time and time again choke against elite defenses, first against the Toronto Raptors in 2019 and then in 2020 against the Miami Heat. So honestly, it's going to be really tough for Giannis to score if he doesn't make those adjustments. But, lately this season, I've been seeing Giannis pull up for a lot of jumpers, a lot of three-point shots, a lot of mid-range. So hopefully he finds a way to combat those elite defenses that are blocking him from scoring in the paint. And if he can do that, then the Bucks are for sure making the finals and definitely could win the title for sure. That's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my list for the championship contenders for this season in the playoffs. Some honorable mentions: the Utah Jazz. They're a really good team. I just don't think they're going to make the finals. I think that their three-point shooting isn't going to be all that reliable in the postseason as some of the other teams. And also another honorable mention would be the Miami Heat. I definitely think that this team is very competitive and can definitely make any series to a game seven, but I just don't think they don't have that star power that Brooklyn has, like Sixers have, like the Bucks have. And I know a lot of people said that last season and the Heat still made the finals, but I just don't see them beating, Brooklyn. I mean, I'd say like they're probably going to make the conference finals, but they're not going to beat Brooklyn. They just don't have the star power to match up with them. And I mean, I guess the Nuggets can also be an honorable mention. Again, Jamal Murray's out with the injury, and if you're going to make a run for a title, then you're going to need to have all hands on deck, which is something that the Nuggets do not have. So that's why I didn't put them on the list. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what your list of championship contenders are in the comments below. But anyway, guys, y'all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you later.